Let's begin now.
Hey! What's going on, everybody? Week 7.
Week 7, it is the 7th inning.
I woke up this morning.
Game time 32. I'm Charles Porter.
I'm Cicero, Salmon the third.
Hey.
I'm Get My Switch.
Hollywood Jizzax.
We are here once again, week 7. This is where motherfuckers get up, take a stretch, reevaluate, and come back strong. We got a bunch of big games this week.
That's the word, though.
Yes.
Reevaluate.
Yes.
That's what a lot of teams are doing right now. You might not enjoy the first half of your season, but right now you're trying to shake things up. You're trying to make some big trades, and I actually pulled one off myself this week, bro.
Yes, and some of you might be wondering, why are these two young black gentlemen wearing sweaters? Is this Mr. Rogers' neighborhood? We did grow up to it, though.
We sure did.
Yes, but this is the week 7 stretch.
Sweater week.
Sweater week, that's what we call it.
Week
So,
7 sweater.
so when you go out and watch the games this week, it might get a little brisk where you're at. Bring your sweaters out.
See, most people would have stopped at the mushrooms.
Yes.
At the jacket.
Yeah.
But then you gotta go to the belt.
Get to coordinate. And that's what we do here.
Yeah.
So, some of the big games and how we're going to do. What's the first thing we're going to talk about?
I want to talk about the big game of the week.
We had a few questions about what the big game is going to be. Because I know you wanted it to be, and I think you're right at the end. It was my game.
And not because he hosts the show.
I know, it seems that way, that we happen to always be a big game, but when you host a show, you happen to have some insight.
And when you're good.
Yeah, and
when you're good.
We both are chip owners, you know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all envious don't envy, don't hate, okay? 2
champions here. It's like when you see Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders and they're Hall of Famers.
Yes.
It's the same, you know. Big game of the week, in my opinion, is going to be Get My Switch versus Goodfellas. And I know what you're thinking. How is Goodfellas in the big game of the week?
Doesn't make any sense.
We talked about this.
Yes.
And this is the time when the tides kind of changed a little bit.
Because we did talk last week about it.
Some teams are scoring more, getting scored on more by stronger opponents. Now they're going into the weaker part of their schedule. He won last week. If he can beat.
This is what you call a streak, if he wins.
Right.
I mean, it only takes one to start a roll. Alright? I got a plan and I already enacted it. Now people, I know what he saw. He looked at it, he said, oh, he's got a bunch of people on by. He's about to lose this shit. No. Brought to you by Tecate. Spanish drink for black men.
Who did you have on bye? Why did you even?
Oh no, you know what happened? See, on my bye, I actually had to pick up Greg Little. Alright?
Ooh, a Cleveland player. Never want to go with it.
It is tough. And I did not see a P. He was not probable the other day, but he's going to be playing.
I look at your team here and I'm seeing that your 2 starting quarterbacks are Danny Woodhead and Jonathan Stewart.
Oh, my running backs here, Danny Woodhead and Jonathan Stewart. Now, Jonathan Stewart will be taking the bulk of the runs this week.
In other words, you're about to get your ass whipped.
Danny Woodhead is shifty. And the big thing is, he's playing the New York Jets. Their defense is pretty whack. Okay, they're on the
Take
field
that
all
F
day. I'm telling
out of that word shifty. That's what Danny Woodhead is.
Danny, I got you, boy. It's all right. You're a great athlete. All right, you're a great athlete.
That's the bottom of the barrel game of the week.
That's the big game.
But when you talk about the big dogs, you got Hollywood Jacks, and it's not because I host the show.
Once again, do not think it's because we host the show. There's more than this. All right. We look at what's going to be an interesting game to watch. That's really what we look at.
Exactly.
It just happens to be that we're always in a great game.
Yeah, and I'm going up against Sweet Feet. I am 5-1. Sweet Feet's 4-2.
It's number 2 versus number 4. You can't say that that's not a big game.
It's a big game. It's like Florida State playing against Notre Dame.
Yes, I thought you were gonna say Florida State playing Duke, but that's definitely not.
Hey, Duke is 5-2 right now. I'm gonna give a big shout out to all my Blue Devils out there. We are 5-2. We play Carolina tomorrow. Let me tell you something. Go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell. All right, so we got Sweet Feet versus Hollywood Jack. Sweet Feet's off to a great start. He had Frank Gore play last night in the Thursday night game, and Frank Gore got off.
He did, and he is great considering he broke both his ankles and runs with no feet. He's like a runaway slave out there. Really, you can't be mad at a guy who has broken both his ankles. That's like Kunta Kinte. Yes, yes. Honestly, I gotta do so much respect because it's crazy to go out there and do this.
I salute him. I salute him. Even though it was to me, I salute him.
Yeah, but Sweet Feet, I'm worried about this game because I'm not sure, as my fellow host, I'm not sure we can. Okay, I'm just saying, you want to root for your friends. But when you look at what's going down, it's Tom versus Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford's playing against Chicago, who scores 30 points a game anyway, so I'm looking at negative points already off the bat just from my quarterback alone.
Exactly. Jordy Nelson has been killing them, but that's it. Swash because he's going against Victor Cruz. So you got to give it to the Spanish, to the Puerto Rican. That's my peoples. Puerto Rico, say ho.
Go G-Man.
Kenny Britt, Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne was killing them too. See that one-handed catch about 2 weeks ago.
I picked Kenny Britt up off the waivers this week. I play for the week. I don't play for the whole season, and I picked up Kenny Britt. I dropped Donald Brown, and I'm trying to get San Francisco off the waivers. Somebody let him go.
Yep.
This man here, he actually drafted San Francisco, let him go in the second week.
He always brings us up.
They're finally back on the waiver wire. I'm number 2 on the wire. If I can get San Francisco...
I don't understand why he brings us up every time. That's the first week. It's been 7 weeks.
You know what? It was a huge move, and I think it's a big mistake, and now you're paying for it. Because who's your defense this week?
Fuck you, that's my defense.
Yeah, see, there we go. Okay. Next pick.
It's about to wash all the way down, except I just noticed there is a Q next to Gronkowski.
Oh!
Questionable. Oh. But yeah, he has Gronk, and so that's a big one. That could take Hollywood Jacks over the hump to the crack. I don't know.
And the big pickup of the week.
Patrick Willis to
tighten your brown eye. Gotta give it to him. I had Patrick Willis on my squad again. Injuries did not allow me to hold him. I had no other room. I just made a trade. I just completed my first trade of the year with Free Willie's Quest, and I think it was actually a really beneficial trade to both squads. Alfred Morris from the Washington Redskins. Who's been absolutely killing.
Yeah.
I needed a tight end. I traded him for Brent Celek from the Philadelphia Eagles and Chris Johnson from.
Speaking of Free Willie, he's taking a mean nosedive.
Oh.
He is horrendous right now.
And he actually is part of the. The bum fight of the week goes to
Free Willie's Quest
and Ghost of Sparta. These guys are both
1 and 5. They are disgusting, and the worst part is the commissioner. The commissioner. You're supposed to set an example, commish. Come on, man. Get your head out your ass.
Hey, you know what this is? This is a direct correlation to what happens when somebody goes off and gets married.
That's what happens because he's on a boat.
He's on a boat.
I'm on a boat, son.
He was in a boat for about 4 weeks over in Europe somewhere.
Naked.
Just got back. Hadn't checked his fantasy football.
No internet access.
None.
You can't be naked with no internet access and expect to do well in fantasy football. You got to manage your time. We talked about it last week.
If you're serious about your craft.
Yes. No, this is a bitch move. Don't be a bitch moment, okay? You got to plan out what's going down during fantasy, all right?
And you got to tell them.
Yeah, you gotta say, yo,
straight up.
I just need 30 minutes. An hour a week. You need an hour 15 minutes. You need an hour to catch up on Sports Center, get the shit right. You need 15 minutes to make the trades.
And that's bare minimum.
That's it. That's all.
But that's bare minimum.
Yeah.
If you're serious about your craft like I am, I'm about 8 hours a day on the NFL Network. I am going over statistics. I am studying the graphs. I know what running backs take what supplements during the week.
You see, hey, do y'all see this face? That's a face of ridiculous. Don't listen to him.
Okay, maybe that's what I want to do.
Now we're a fantasy football show. Okay, we talk about fantasy football, all right, but it's not that serious. Okay, this is a good time. All right. I mean, we talk about the show, we talk about our league, who's gonna win, and we only give a fuck if our player is gonna get the points. Now, we're not gonna be on here telling you he got 100 yards for the last 12 games and all this other stats and shit. No, because do you really want to hear that shit? No, because you don't really give a fuck. What you care about is, am I gonna get my points?
Wow.
Okay, so you know what? All you want to hear is, yo, Chris Johnson is playing a motherfucking bad defense. Is he gonna get me 8? Nah, he might get me 6. That's what you want to hear. You want people to talk about it in fantasy point terms.
I said it must be, cause the nigga got Joe.